Welcome, everyone. I'm Anjali Dange, a nutritionist and founder of Starlight Wellness. Today, we are talking about a phase that is often overlooked once the baby arrives: your body, your recovery, and your nourishment. This workshop is a practical and culturally relevant guide to eating right during breastfeeding, especially for those balancing care, healing, and work. Let's begin. So, what is postpartum nutrition? Postpartum nutrition is not about going back to pre baby eating, it's not about following strict rules. It's about rebuilding your strength. Your body has gone through so many different changes during your delivery, during your pregnancy. So, this is the time for you to rebuild your strength, support milk production so that you can feed your baby for longer, and stay energized, especially as you're balancing recovery and the demands of returning to work. So, most of you will have some time before you return to work, but um, when you're in this phase, this is the time that you have to recover completely so that when you get back to work, whatever, the stress and the strain or whatever that you need to adapt to at work and taking care of your baby, your body will have enough energy to do that. Your body will withstand anything that comes forward. So, this phase you use to rebuild that strength. Today's session focuses on real, practical, and culturally rooted ways to nourish your body while caring for your baby. So, the focus for this session, it has been designed for new mothers like you navigating early recovery and return to work. So, what all will be covered in this session? We will know what your body needs nutritionally after childbirth. We will know breastfeeding safe diet recommendations. We also want to understand what are the Indian cultural practices which support healing and what needs rethinking. Planning simple, nutrient dense meals, energy, and milk supply support during working hours. All right. So, what are my nutritional needs during breastfeeding? So, there is definitely an increased demand because lactation significantly increases your nutrition requirement. Okay. Your body uses additional energy to produce breast milk daily. Okay. So, what are the key changes? You may need to add a little extra calories compared to what you were eating before, which is about 400 to 500 calories extra per day. The protein that you need for tissue repair and milk production, your requirement may go up to even 1.1 gram per kg body weight. The fluids, you will need more amount of fluids, increased need for the hydration as well as to support breast milk volume. And certain micronutrients are going to continue to be important. You remember during pregnancy also, your gynecologist, your nutritionist would have constantly been reminding you about your micronutrients. So that need doesn't stop yet. You still will require iron because of the blood loss during your delivery. You will still require calcium for your bone health, as well as the fact that you're producing breast milk now. And you will also need B12 and omega-3 so that your baby's brain develops well. So the baby is still going to take nutrients from you through the breast milk. So it's very important that you maintain a good balance of your micronutrients. And as we did during pregnancy, listen to your body. Okay. So always, don't, think about your weight or, how am I looking and, what are people saying around me. You listen to your body and you eat when you're hungry and you drink liquids when you're thirsty. So don't neglect what you need because you're taking care of another, because you're taking care of your child or because of so many other things that you're listening to from your family. Remember that this is the phase when not just your baby needs attention, but your body also needs attention so that whatever it has gone through, you have to start repairing all of that and gain back your strength. So I'm sure the next thought is, what should I be including in my diet during this phase? So let's break it down to make it simple and easy for you. One, we know we need to support milk supply. So the foods that help you support milk supply are called as galactogogues. So, for example, simple things in your kitchen like methi, fennel, that is your sauf, ajwain, halim or garden cress seeds, goond. I'm sure all of you have heard about it. Everybody talks about having goond laddu during this phase. Dry fruits, whole pulses, laddus made with nuts and jaggery and goond together. So all of these are known to help you improve your milk supply. Okay. Then of course you need energy rich food because like we've been saying, right? You need to gain back your strength. So for that you need specific foods like dates because they're rich in iron, ghee that helps in the absorption of fat soluble vitamins, and ghee you don't have to you need not overdo it, but take it in moderation. Like whenever you're having your meal, maybe a spoon of ghee to be added to it. Or if you don't like it on your food, then maybe in the form of the laddu, you add a little bit of ghee when you're making the laddu. Things like ragi, bajra, and jaggery as well. They all help you to improve your energy. So millets, usually ragi is very easily digestible. And here again, the emphasis is that whatever food you're eating, it should not give your baby any, symptoms of gas or gastric issues. So because of that, we are a little careful about what foods we choose. Okay. So for your energy, dates, jaggery, and the millets like ragi and bajra, which are a little easier for you to digest right now. Then you, of course, need protein. Just like during your pregnancy, you did focus on having a good amount of protein, whether vegetarian or non-vegetarian. Again, during this phase when you're feeding your baby, you do need small amounts of protein going into each meal. So like moong dal, eggs, paneer, curd, chicken, fish, and nuts. So non-vegetarian food, everybody has different, opinions about it. You will hear a lot about this from your elders and family members. What I would suggest is go slow when you're introducing something. Please introduce just one thing, like say you want to start eating mutton or chicken. Just have a small piece, observe for 1 or 2 days if it's causing any issues for you or for your baby, and then continue to have it. So any new food that you're introducing, please observe for 2 or 3 days and then go ahead with it. In your case, you have to look out for, is it causing you any bloating or gas or, stomach pain or acidity? These are the things that you have to look out for. The same symptoms you have to look out for in your child, whether your child is, crying constantly because of colic or something when you've introduced something. So proteins are required, but whenever you're making dal, please ask them to make it a little, not too thick, medium consistency, so that you also don't face any issues, because your movement is going to be quite restricted for, in case you've had a C-section or a normal delivery, your movement is restricted compared to before. So there are chances of you feeling a little bloated and heavy after too much of dal. So stick to small quantities and make it a little medium consistency and not too thick. The healthy fats, so use cold press oils, whichever one that you're usually used to using at home. It could be cold pressed sunflower, cold pressed sesame. Sesame oil is actually very good for whenever, post pregnancy, the vegetables, the seasoning can be done in cold pressed sesame oil. It helps even for milk production, and you can add a little bit of garlic in your seasoning, which again can help as a galactogogue. And you had nut butters, peanut butter, almond butter, but be a little careful here because we don't know if there are any allergens that can affect your child. So be a little careful when you're using nut butters. And flax seeds and chia seeds, of course, can be used. Again, see, just like what we had spoken during pregnancy, whenever you introduce anything new, observe and then continue to use it. Okay. Then you also have your hydration options. So I constantly keep getting, comments from new mothers saying, I don't remember to drink water. I'm not able to drink water. Or my family members are saying you can drink only this much amount of water and they are restricting me on it. So what are the other ways in which you can hydrate yourself? So you can have ajwain or jeera water, you can have buttermilk, you can have coconut water, and you can have thin soups. So these are other ways of adding hydration to your diet. All right, now let's look at what to avoid or what you should limit to some extent. Okay, caffeine. You've heard this from your gynecologist during pregnancy. I would suggest even in this phase when you're feeding your child, the lesser amount of caffeine you have, the better. Limit it. If you really have to have it, have a very weak tea or a weak coffee, no, strong decoctions, and limit it max to 1 or 2 small cups, not like mugs of tea or coffee, because this can affect even your child's sleep pattern. Okay, so try your best to stay away from caffeine if possible, but if you really have to have it, max about 1 small cup. That's it. Definitely alcohol to be continued to, you please avoid alcohol until you're breastfeeding. It's not at all suggested and it's not good for your body as well as for your baby. The fried and heavy foods, it can impact your digestion as well as the taste of the milk. So whenever you're having anything that's, deep fried or it has a lot of fat, like too much of ghee or anything of that sort, I think have smaller portions. If you just feel like you're tasting it and you don't want to deprive yourself of it. But if you go overboard with your pakoras and samosas and things like that at this phase, you will also have digestion issues and so will your child. So please be a little careful about deep fried items. Fermented, spicy and stale food. So by stale food, what we mean is, if you've just kept it in the fridge, cooked the previous day, kept it in the fridge and you're planning to have it the next day, at this phase, I wouldn't suggest it because we are not really sure what kind of bacteria sometimes does grow in the food and which can then affect your child as well. So preferably eat freshly cooked food every day. Fermented food, things like curd, buttermilk are still fine, but don't go on to trying kombucha and different kind of, the fermented microorganisms. You have certain drinks that are with probiotics or prebiotics. So be a little careful. Don't take any over-the-counter drinks like this without checking with your doctor or your nutritionist. Spicy food, please avoid. It can affect your stomach as well as the baby because the taste of the breast milk also could change. So please stay away from spicy food. Keep all your food very mild. Even if you're having non-vegetarian food, please be careful on the amount of spice that is if that is going into it. So it's important to note down not just your the reactions of the food that you are facing, but it's also important to notice your child's behavior, sleeping pattern, when you have introduced anything new to your diet. So please be very observant and it will help you understand what choices to make and what to avoid. Now let's talk about the cultural traditions. I'm sure, when a baby is born in the home, the entire family comes together to celebrate it. So we have a lot of elders or the past generation at home giving you different kind of advice, and then your doctor's giving you a different kind of advice, and then your nutritionist is talking about different things. So I know it can be a little overwhelming and confusing. But let me, talk about a few common ones that you would find. So let's look at the ones that are worth keeping. One, as I was talking about the goond laddu or panjeri ki laddu or haldi milk, ajwain parathas. These are things that you can have. So ajwain is good for you. Cooking in sesame oil is good for you. The goond, the guar gum or goond that is used in your laddus, like I said, it's a galactococ, so it can help in the milk production. Definitely a yes to the soups, yes to the thin dals, kanji or light khichdi. All of these things are absolutely fine. Adding a spoon of ghee to it is also good. It can help you. And using different oils for the seasoning, like the cold press oils, like what we've spoken about, is good. So these are few things that you can keep. So what are the ones that maybe you'll have to just tune it according to your needs and customize it according to what you need. So one is, a lot of the older generation says avoid fruits, avoid curd, you can get a cold, you can get a cough. So, what I would suggest is have curd because it's good, it's fermented food, and it will help you for your digestion. But try and have curd that is kept outside at room temperature, or even if it was in the fridge, keep it out, bring it down to room temperature, and then have it. Or even before it is kept in the fridge, if you're making fresh curd at home, generally, it's kept outside for fermentation, and only after a few hours it's kept in the fridge. So before it's kept in the fridge, you can take out a little for yourself so that you don't have to worry about catching a cold or a fever or a cough. Avoiding fruits. I understand, all of us have a lot of fear about the pesticides that are being used for it, and what if it goes into the breast milk for your child. So in such cases, what I usually suggest is whatever fruit you're having, if you can remove the skin and have it, like apple, you wash the apple well, you remove the skin and you have the pulp. Banana, anyway, we remove the skin and we have it. So better is to just remove the skin and have the fruit. So whether it's melon or oranges, all of this, we always ensure that we remove even the white part of the oranges, the thin white, covering that it has. So that way you can reduce the amount of exposure to the pesticides. Then you have the hot and cold food. So, usually they would suggest have only hot foods and avoid cold foods. So here again, I think balance is very, very important. Cooling foods like coconut or coconut water or cucumber, they do help in some extent. So again here, caution to just make sure you don't take something directly out of the fridge and you have it. Always keep it to room temperature and you take it. So it's okay to add, a few slices of cucumber or a little bit of coconut, and then you observe, like, like we just said in the previous slide, whatever you're adding, keep observing and seeing if your child is reacting in a certain way, or are you feeling any changes in your body? Do you feel like when you eat a cucumber, you're getting getting a body pain, or you feel like you're getting into a fever? So these kind of things you can observe. And then avoid the food if it is causing a problem for you. But otherwise, I don't think you should take it as a hard and fast food. Yes, so we spoke about the hydration. There are a lot of, the older generation just think that you have to restrict the amount of water that you're drinking. So if you're being restricted on the amount of water, there are other liquids which we spoke about now, which can make up for the liquid intake that you require. But I think sipping through the day helps. Rather than having big gulps of water at one go, staying hydrated throughout the day will help you. It will help for milk production. So, I think sipping through the day is something that you should look into. So, let's now understand a sample meal plan, whether it's vegetarian or non-vegetarian, including some Indian foods in them so that it gets easier for you to manage at home. So, say if you want to plan a breakfast, ideally you could do even the Indian breakfast like idli or dosa, or you could do pongal. You could even try ragi porridge with some almonds or boiled eggs, some roti and ghee along with it. In the mid-morning, maybe you could have like a buttermilk or coconut water, like I said, not straight from the fridge, or if it's fresh, then, you just let it cool down to room temperature and then you take it. And then lunch, you could have like rice, dal, ghee, some vegetable that's cooked, something that's easier for your stomach to digest. Watery vegetables are the best, like rich gourd, bottle gourd, beans. Try and keep cauliflower, cabbage a little lesser because they can cause not just gas for you, but for the baby as well. So anything that causes gas, it's better that you stay away from it for the first few months. And then as the baby starts oral feeds, then, you can slowly introduce these things in your diet. So stick to watery vegetables that are easily digestible. You could even have, as you progress in this phase, you could have chicken, made like a stew or made like a curry, but with very less spice and not too much oil. And yes, greens are very important. So either you add it into your dal or you have like a full katori. So this is the phase where you have to focus on your vegetable intake. As Indians, we are so used to just having a small amount of vegetable and more amount of rice. So the concept here during this phase when you're breastfeeding you need a good amount of fiber, you need a good amount of the micronutrients. So eating a big bowl of vegetable is a must, seasoned with a little bit of sesame oil and a little garlic in it as well. So that will help you throughout, for your energy, for the micronutrients, and for milk production. Snack can be like what we were talking about, the laddus, the dry fruits, roasted chana, and maybe, having like bread is also something that's good for milk production. So you can have like a open, a single slice or two slices, or a sandwich made with, a tomato slices inside with a little bit of green chutney. So a chutney sandwich. Things like this can be included as your snack in the evening. On whatever was cooked for breakfast, one portion that can be had at the evening snack, just to avoid too much of cooking. So if there is a dosa batter or an idli, you could have that in the evening as well. And then moving on to dinner, here you could repeat rice if you want to, but chapati is a good idea. If you're used to millets, you could use it, but if you're not, please don't introduce anything new right now, because millets in the night may cause a little bit of bloating for you. But if you're used to it, yes, please make sure that you're not eating dinner too late. Give your body enough time to metabolize, whatever it is that you're eating before you go to bed. So eat a little early, and throughout this phase, maintain your meal timings as far as possible every day. That will help in reducing any gastric issues, and so that you don't have any discomfort, because you have so much to take care of. So it's better that if you want to remain in good health and good energy, eat on time as far as possible. Take help from your family to take care of the baby during your meal time, so that you can eat, and enjoy your meal and allow the nutrients to produce a good amount of energy in your body. Of course, curd, soup, all these things can be included as part of your meal. So let's talk about returning to work. So are there smart strategies that you can follow? So let's see. We have some that we would like to share with you, and I'm hoping something out of this will help you and help you reorganize yourself with this new phase of life. So one is batch cooking. When we say batch cooking, you can pre-prep. Okay, so or if you don't have help at home for cooking, you can pre-prep. If you have help at home, then I would suggest eat fresh food. So usually over the weekends, maybe you can plan the whole week's menu as to what you should be eating, what you need to keep ready for your baby and the rest of the family. So if you prep ahead in terms of what you're going to make, your ingredients will be, you can order your grocery list accordingly. Your ingredients will always be at home. So it's easier for you to manage what to cook. Okay. You can ask most of the, your parents or the older generation, they know how to make these easy khichdi mixes. Even once your baby starts eating solid food, they're simple mixes that they make homemade itself, which you can just mix a little bit of water or cook it in a little bit of water and immediately feed your child. So even if it is for yourself, keeping, certain food that you can cut it and keep it in the fridge, or you can keep certain pre-mixes ready, like your roti ka atta and things like that. For every 3 days, you can make it in a batch and you can keep it ready. Roast dry fruits and make laddus or snack bars. Yeah, this will be helpful for you in between meals, because once work begins, maybe maintaining timings will not be as efficient as what you're doing now before you go to work, right? So if you know that a meal is getting delayed, and especially when you're breastfeeding, you tend to feel hungry right on dot when it's your meal time. And in case because of a meeting, your meal time is getting delayed, then these snack bars or these laddus will really help you in between, or the dry fruits will help you to keep your appetite, to reduce your appetite a bit during that time and satisfy your hunger. Looking at workplace friendly meals, something that's easy for you to carry, easy for you to eat, like soft parathas, like made into rolls. You can put your vegetables, whatever has been made for the day, into the chapati and make it like a roll. So it's easy for you to eat. Having a spoon of ghee on it. Pickles, yes, sometimes if you really feel like having, that taste on your tongue, but try and keep it to the minimum. One dish meals like dal rice and vegetables like khichdi, or like a vegetable pulao, vegetable fried rice, made with less oil and less spices. Adding a little bit of protein in them, so you can have like paneer added to it, or you can have egg, boiled egg or scrambled egg added into your fried rice. So things like this that can all become like, you have your protein, you have your carb, and you have your micronutrients in it. Okay. Overnight oats is also a good option if you're used to that amount of fiber. It's good for your gut. It's good for, since it's a fermented food, it's good for you, good for digestion as well. And adding a little bit of fruit along with it is also a good option, or adding your nuts if you know that throughout the day you're not able to eat nuts, then adding it to your overnight oats is a good idea. Breastfeeding support while working. You set reminders for pumping your milk. You drink a glass of water before and after. Again, please do not forget about hydration when you're sitting at work, because we are all sitting in AC environments. We don't realize how thirsty we are. So it's very important for you to keep reminders. You have so many apps today that can help you to remember to eat, to drink water, and keep high protein snacks at your desks, like the laddus that we were talking about, or a protein bar that is homemade, preferably. These are some of the options that you can have, or lightly roasted peanuts mixed with other dry fruits, or like a trail mix. These are all things that you can keep at your desk. All right. Along with understanding your nutrition and taking care of it, it's also equally important to remember that you have to keep a track of your parameters. You have to keep testing to see whether the amount of supplements that you're taking, are they enough for you right now? Do you need to take it for a longer time, or are you taking enough? Are your reports showing you that your parameters are fine now and you need to stop your supplementation? So the decision making is based on the results of your testing. So essential supplements post birth, usually what doctors recommend is iron if your hemoglobin is low, calcium, vitamin D3, and vitamin B12. After 6 weeks, the doctor will generally write these blood tests, that is your CBC, ferritin, TSH, vitamin D, and vitamin B12. Please do not neglect this. This is very important for you to get done no matter how busy you are, because it's good to understand how your body is recouping and recovering post the delivery process. If you take care of it during this phase, you will see that the next few years is so much more easier for you. But if you neglect it in this phase, your body's strength, immunity, everything starts to drop. So please keep a check with your doctor and continue to take your supplements regularly as per the doctor's prescription. So let's do a quick checklist. We've got so much information now, but let's focus on what is really required. Okay. So 1, no skipping meals. Okay. No excuse that I have to take care of baby, I didn't have help, I couldn't do this. So now you can pre-prep. So regular meals are very, very important. Do not skip any meal. Focus on your protein. Remember, you need to have 1 serve of protein at every meal. Hydration, stay hydrated throughout the day, no matter what the rest of the family members are saying. Please listen to your body and see if you're feeling dehydrated. You must make sure you're sipping enough of water. Your healing mindset, use food for healing and not perfection. So don't try to be perfect in this phase. It's not going to happen. Your baby is going to teach you that it's okay not to be perfect, right? So what you need to do here is you have to understand, okay, my body has gone through so much, emotionally, physically, and now there is so much of an expectation from me as a mother. So have all this, but don't let it pressurize you. Look at it as I'm doing these things, eating right, staying hydrated, pre-prepping, all of this because I need to heal. Okay. Only when I heal in this phase can I go forward. So please remember, this is a phase that is equally important for you as it is for the baby. We know the entire family is, the focus is all on the baby right now, but you need to have a little bit of a spotlight still on yourself so that you can heal well. Okay. Be aware of your body. Please pay attention to how your body behaves with the different foods that you're giving it. Take rest when you need to take rest. And, if you're feeling low or you need to talk to someone, please engage with your family members and talk to them about how you're feeling. It's very important and it will set the mood right for you at home. If you continue to think of, no, I shouldn't be saying this, I shouldn't be sharing this with anybody, it will just continue to build up inside you. It's very easy to get demotivated because the whole family is focusing on this new baby that's come in and there's very little focus that's given to you. So it's very important to talk about what you feel and let the family members know, when you need the attention, when you need the focus, or when you need help. Please ask for it. This is the phase when you should ask for help so that you can heal better. So, apart from that, a few key takeaways. All right. Nourishment, not restriction. Okay. The postpartum body needs nourishment, not constant saying, oh, no, don't take this. Oh, no, don't do that. Restriction is not the solution. You want to have something, you can have 10 small portions. If someone says this is bad for the baby or, for breast milk production, yes, maybe we can listen to them for some time. But if your doctor or your nutritionist says, no, this food is important, please take it. Have it in small quantities and involve your family members when you go to the medical practitioner or the nutritionist so that they understand. Maybe they can voice out what they are having in your mind and the professional can help you take care of it. Traditional wisdom. So we know that the Indian diet has powerful ingredients that can heal. So please make use of them. Balance a little bit of the traditional with the new research that has come in, the new methods or the protocols that have come in, which you will get to know from your professional, from either the nutritionist or the doctor. Self-care, I think, no matter how much I try and stress upon it, is so important. Please do not neglect self-care. You deserve this time and the support that you have at home now. So please don't feel ashamed to ask for help when you need it. Planning is very important, especially now that we are all in nuclear families. Once the parents leave and the baby's care is on you, getting back to work is on you, it can get a little overwhelming. So planning ahead really helps. And, even before your house help or your family help leaves home, after they come for a certain phase, they help you when they go back. So if you don't have continuous help, it's good to start looking at, what are the other options you have around your home. Do you have someone who could come home and stay, with the baby or with you when you're working, if you're, working from home. So things like that. Setting that support in the house is very, very important. So yes, I think if you take care of all these things, this phase will be easy. It will need a little bit of focus, but it's not difficult and it's not impossible. So just before I close, 3 things to remember. 1, you need 400 plus extra calories. So whatever is the extra food in terms of the nutrients that you require, please make sure you're taking it. You need 10 to 12 glasses of water and you need 1 to 1.1 gram of protein per kg body weight every day. And a nutritionist can help you make a plan keeping all of these numbers in mind. Thank you so much for joining this workshop today. I hope you leave today just not with a food list, but with clarity, confidence, and compassion for your own recovery. There is no perfect diet. There is only the diet that keeps you nourished and energized for the care that you are giving. Please reach out to your healthcare provider or your certified nutritionist if you need personalized help.